Well, take two. Friday, car is running. I'm going to take it to town and go to dinner. Maybe I'll take a little bit of a movie on the way in there, just so I feel how it is. I've done a bunch of little finishing touches on it and took it for a couple of test drives and feeling kind of good about it. The transmission was making noises, so I've changed the transmission fluid the way that they recommended at the one of those blogs about these kind of cars. They'd say you shouldn't flush the transmission on it. You should just drain the oil in the transmission itself and leave the torque converter oil alone. But I say regularly change the oil, so maybe I'll do that in the future. I'll give it a couple of months and change it again, or give it a couple of weeks and change it again, and that'll be good clean oil in there running, and that might cure some of the noises. Anyway, Friday, and I think we're pretty near done with this car. Likely get a couple more movies out of it just driving, and maybe it's been so long with COVID that I think a trip to Tignish would be a good trip. I haven't been anywhere forever, so maybe we'll go to Tignish here one of these days and take a look at the windmills. That'd be fun. Anyhow, that's all for this week. Might get a bit more like just driving around a bit, and that's all. Yeah, so now yesterday when I was out driving it, I noticed that it didn't drive very straight, or it's wobbly and all that. So, just so happens that that guy Fitzy's Fabrications in Newfoundland, it seems that whenever I need to know something, he just does it. I don't know, maybe he's got, what would you call that? Is it, oh, there's a word for it. Anyhow, synchronicity or something. But, so, I was wondering to myself, how do you get the wheels aligned properly? And then I was watching, and then all of a sudden Fitzy had a video on how to get the wheels aligned properly. So you take a couple of jack stands, and this doesn't do it like perfect like the computer guys do in town, but this will certainly get you out of the dirt. So you take a couple of jack stands and you put that one back there so that the string wraps around the wheel, so it's touching here. Then you bring the other jack stand in line up there, so it's just barely touching this, but it's not yet. So what I'm going to do, but beyond that, you can see there's about an inch here and nothing there. So and it should be 1/8 of an inch towed in instead of that much towed out. So I'll fix that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up on and put it on my rolly things so that it sits at proper ride height, and I'm able to fit underneath there to undo the things. So I'll get that going and then get it set up. Likely I'll put on the back tires, I'll just tape a piece of wood here and a piece of wood here so that it gets the right distance there, and then it'll give me an extra inch or so at the front there to be able to measure from. Yeah, so now I'll just loosen that and that'll make it so this thing here will turn, and that's how you adjust the wheels. Same on the other side. I'll get the wrench and do that. Yeah, so now these are all loose, so you can turn them, and that makes the wheel, see how the wheel moves there? When you turn these, that'll make the wheel go into alignment properly. And I'll lay it down, put it down on my wheelie things over here. I got these wheelie things. Those things there, and they'll allow me to have it a little bit higher in the air, so I don't have to, I can get underneath it with my little wheelie thing over here. Wheelie things everywhere. There's another wheelie thing over here, this thing here, so you can slide underneath cars. It's been so long since I've used it, it's all covered in dust. Oh, bang, that thing there. So I'll get set up and show you what's happening. Yeah, so the very first thing to do is get the steering wheel pointed right. So it's got to be normal driving position right there, maybe about, let me get pointed here. About right there looks right, eh? Anyway, so that's centered. Have the steering wheel centered. Yeah, so they've cut a couple of pieces of wood, and they're exactly the same there and there, so that'll make this the same distance out. Now this isn't quite touching in there yet. Oops, looking in the wrong spot. This isn't quite touching, but it's touching on here. So I'll just move the front one over. Until that thing just touches on it, right? A little tiny bit more. Oops, a little tiny bit too much. Oops. Now, there you are, regular garden variety measuring tape, right? And so you just measure at the edge of the rim, right here. And it's getting to be, you know, shy of an inch, so it's 7/8 of an inch there. So I want to have it 6/8, and I want to have it an inch here. Now you see that that's 3/4 of an inch. So it's toed out. So now I got to reach underneath there and turn them things so that it toes in a bit. So here we are now. This one here is at pretty well at 3/4, right? And then this side here should be 3/4 and an eighth. Well, look at that. That's just about an inch. So it's got to come back out a little tiny bit. I'll do it a bit more. Yeah, so I think I've got it pretty close to right now. I went down my under and screwed it a bit more. So this one here comes up to, can you see that? Right there, which is right at 3/4. So it's 3/4 from the rope into the wheel. From the rope into the wheel is 3/4. This one has to be a bit more than an eighth more than 3/4, so it should be at 7/8. Which, can you see that? Hard to see because it's, I don't know if that's that focused on there. I can't tell, I get my blurry eyes going. Anyhow, but to my eyes, that looks like 7/8. So I think that's right, that's where it should be. And it was quite a long way out, so that might make quite a bit of difference in the handling of this car. Now I'll slide up underneath there and tighten up those bolts so I don't lose that position, and use my wheelie thing here to slide underneath there. I won't film that because it's damn dark underneath there, but I'll show you later when I get it up in the air, and then I'll put it back down on the ground at normal ride height. After I'll do the other side. I'll take this contraption and just move it to the other side of the car, do the other side, and then I'll put it down on the ground and check it out, what it looks like when it's on the ground without these wheelie things underneath it. Yeah, I still got my string out here. Now, I've been back and forth about 100 times already, and every time I get it right, then I go and check the steering wheel, and the steering wheel is not straight. So the steering wheel's straight there now. Straight enough, that's where it's going to be straight. Then, on this wheel, and I've got them all tight in there, it says just over, a little bit over 3/4, right? On the back. So this should be 3/4 plus an eighth, which is pretty well what that says right there. So that's good. That's an 1/8 inch toe in. Now I'm going to go to the other wheel. And this one on the back, it's at a 1/2 inch, and that's, you know, just because the way the string's set up on the back of that thing there. Not quite the same here. And on the front, it should be a 1/2 inch plus an eighth, which looks like that's what it is. Yay. So I think I got it right. Or I have it right. Anyhow, so I'll put the car up and then I'm almost scared to check it again if I put it down on the ground, but I think we're okay. And maybe I'll take it for a bit of a spin after a bit. I'm going to build the thing to flush the brakes, or to fluid through the brakes, because I think that's my problem. It's got to have a pressure thing on the top, on this end of the brake, to push fluid through to bleed it, and you just go and that's how you bleed these damn things. So I have to build a device, and I think I got the bits to build a device. So see what I can come up with. Yeah, so the way you bleed the brakes on these things right here, is you put positive pressure on the brake, on the top end of the brakes. So I've got this thing rigged up where it's holding like 30 pounds of pressure there, and it's been steady. So this part here works, and I got a little valve right there that'll hold. You don't want more than 30 pounds, I don't think, on it. And then I'm building a little device right here that'll fit into this is the cap for the brake fluid thing. I just put that on over that, and I've got it's rubber there. Whoops, pointing the wrong way. I was pointing all at it, hey? So you put the cap thing over the thing I've constructed here, and then that's epoxy, and a little rubberized sort of thing here. I cut out a piece of plastic, and I put this rubber Gorilla Tape on each side of it. So I might have to do a little bit of sealing work with it, but I think I'll get it to hold pressure. That needs another 5 minutes to dry, so I'll let it dry for a bit, and then we'll see if I can get it onto the thing. There's where it goes. That's the brake fluid reservoir right there. So then you can go to put the pressure on it, and then go to each individual wheel and let it bleed out a bit. Now, try that again. I've got a thing here that you just hook to the wheel. Where is it? This thing here. So you just hook that. Where is it? Hook that on the wheel and let the brake fluid drain into that, so as not to make a big mess. There it is. The rig's all set up. So it's got 30 pounds in it there now. I haven't opened the valve yet because it leaks a little bit there, but it'll be enough pressure going through that to push some fluid through. I hope. We'll just see what happens here. I'll get it up in the air a bit and hook a wheel up and see what goes on. Yeah, so there it is now. That I'm hooked up on top of the brake caliper, and then I got the little receptacle down below here, and on the top of the car I got this thing here, and it's up at 30 pounds. So I just let so you can see that 30 pounds there, and I've got this handle here, so I just let that go, and watching carefully that I don't push all of the brake fluid out, because it's down about 1/4 inch there now. I've done 3 wheels, I'm on number 4. Just let the air in slowly, and it'll dissipate, and then it goes down to 0 there. So I close the valve, check and see if anything came through the other end, which may or may not have happened because maybe I didn't have that thing open far enough. Doesn't look like much came out there. So I'll pump this one up again and do it again and open that valve a little more. Hang on. Yeah, it looks like some came through that time, so now I'll just close this little valve up here. Pull that off. And put the cap back on, and then I'm going to let it down and I'll take it for a spin. I've realigned the wheels like you saw yesterday. And now I've done this, so I got to get this disassembled here and just see if the brake lights will go out now. This thing here worked all right so far. Well, and there's proof in the pudding coming. We'll see. Yeah, there. So I think I got the power steering or the brake light to go out. But now, next thing that happens is the power steering pump's making noise. So I presume that it's getting kind of worn down. I'll just take it for a little spin down the road. I'm pretty sure that won't stop it from passing the test. but the steering feels an awful lot better now. Still making a pretty good noise there when it wants to, but I guess I won't worry about that too much. It sort of steers in a straight line now. I'll go down the road here towards whatever you call this place, Fort Amherst. Yeah, it feels like a nice car now. Anyway, here's the view coming down by Fort Amherst. Big bump on the road here, better slow down. There's Charlottetown out there somewhere. Yeah, you can see it across there. Actually, it feels pretty good now, this car. Still making noises in the brakes, but that's just silly stuff making that noise there. Car coming. Car going. There. Makes some pretty good gear noises. I'm gonna ask Sam if it was making those noises when he came across Canada. And if you're pressing the brake, no steering, a little bit pulled to the right, not bad. More cars. Well, I think it'll make it to make it in there, and I'll ask that guy in there what that noise is there. God only knows how fast I'm going now. Fast enough. A little bit of a pull to the right, so I likely got the steering like not quite right, but close. Way better than it was. Maybe I'll take another run at that. There was another guy on the internet besides Fitzy that said you just set it up with an inch away from the center of the hub of the wheel on each case, and then get your lines in that way. That way you can check the front and rear to make sure that they're all both pointing correctly. So maybe I'll do that today. But I'm glad that that brake light's out, because that means all the air's out of the system. And the brakes work. Oh yeah. Anti-lock doesn't seem to work, but that's okay. We'll live with that. These guys, the neighbors down here, are going to wonder what the hell's going on with all this car coming up and down the road like that. Anyway. And I've got a speed sensor coming for the speedometer, so I'll floor it here. Holy shit, it goes. Yeah, that's enough flooring it. Yeah, it really goes when you floor it. So the motor works. I don't think I have to do anything on the motor at all, except for clean it up a bit. And then I've got new sensors in the back wheels, so likely there's something in the computer is just a bit wrong with it. We'll just worry about that another time. There you have it. Beautiful view out here. Yeah, so that's a pretty big truck to carry around that little motorcycle with. Isn't that something? Yeah, so here I'm on the way. I put in a speedometer because this one here is not working right yet. I'm waiting for the part to come for to fix that. Everything else seems to be working all right. Still got the brake light on and the anti-lock light on. And it's got a little bit of a shake to it. I don't know what that's from. Must be something not quite right. But we'll see if I can. I'm on the way to get it inspected anyhow, and I think it'll pass inspection all right. Maybe the wheel alignment's still not right on it, which wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it needs new shocks up front or something. We'll wait and see. We'll just carry on. Yeah, here I am, waiting for it to get into the inspection booth, which should be soon. Yeah, so usually I wouldn't take it out on a rainy day. It's clearing up now, but it sure has rained. But I had to go and get the inspection done, which I'm happy to say is valid until next year. So that's nice. That's like a rebirth certificate here. Now tomorrow I'll have to go get a proper license plate for it and put that on, because right now it's got the old Alberta plate and I've only got a temporary permit for today to go and get the inspection done. So that's all right. I'll wait till tomorrow before I can drive it legally on the road. But the guys in the inspection place, or the guys at the garage, they liked it. So that's good by me. Kind of saying that I like it. There's a couple of little things that I'm gonna take the front wheels off and check the bearings, whether I got them tight enough or not, because a little bit of a shake in the front end that I wasn't anticipating. And then otherwise I'm all right. Yeah, back to alignment, because I think I got it wrong. Anyhow, I went to a site somewhere on the internet for BMW, the toe-in value. And it says it's 10 minutes, angular difference, 10 minutes. So the toe-in is 10 minutes. So 10 minutes over 18 inches is that much there. So that'd be over that distance, it's got to be 10 minutes over that distance is half an inch. So 10 minutes over half that distance would be a quarter inch. So a quarter inch out and a quarter inch in, right? So the toe in should be a quarter inch. That's what I'm hoping. I got to try that out anyhow. Right now, I've got it set to the toe in at 1/8 of an inch, and it gets a little bit of a shimmy and a shake. So I think that's not quite the way it wants to be, or should be. So we'll see if I can fix that a bit. But before I do all that, I'm going to lift it up a bit, take the wheel off, the wheel off there, and pull the cover off, and just check to make sure I've got the wheel bearing tight on both sides. There we go. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so I took off both rims, and I could have taken a movie of it, but wasn't thinking about it. Took off both wheels, and then I took off the caps and checked the tension on the bearing nuts, and I loosened them off just a little bit. I think they were too tight, a little bit over tight. I got overzealous when I was torquing them on there, so I just loosened them off a bit and then clamped them down again, and they feel all right now. They don't feel like there's any sort of looseness or anything there, so it's okay that way. We'll get this wheel alignment done now. There, I got my string line all set up, and I had it up in the air a little bit to check. So from the hub, it's 2 inches out from the hub, and at the back, this one's at like 7/8 of an inch, and at the right, at the front, no, this one at the back is at 5/8 of an inch, and at the right, at the front, is at 7/8 of an inch. That's a quarter inch toe in. Back wheels are straight, 0 and 0, or inch and an inch, or something like that. This one here, same thing. The back is 7/8, and the front is inch and 1/8. So that's quarter inch toe in both sides. So it should be right. Well, we'll check it tomorrow. I get to put a new license plate on it tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow's Senior's Day at the. I was in to pick up a license plate today, but I got there too late. So, but there was a sign there that said tomorrow is Seniors Day at the license place, which is Access PEI. So in the morning, I can go in there and avoid the crowds, which is good by me. So I'll do that. I'll be in there first thing tomorrow morning or second thing, and then pick up a plate for this thing. Then I'll take it out for a real run on the highway and see how it goes. I filled it up with gas, and these, if you remember from way back, I had these 3 hoses here. There's a hose number 1, 2, and 3. Wait till I get a light. Here's a light. Hose number 1, 2, 3. They're sort of return line things. So there, the bottom one. I don't know if you can. Where was I pointing? I wonder. Who knows? There's hose number 1, 2, 3. The bottom one, which we'll call number 3, seems to be leaking a bit if the tank is full. So I took some gas out of the tank, and it's not leaking anymore. So I just won't fill it filled all the way until I sort that out. I think it's a clamp problem. I think those clamps are pretty cheap, so maybe I'll get some better clamps and put it on there and see what I can do. Anyhow, that's enough of that for the day. Closed. Case is closed. If that's the worst problem I have, I think I'm doing all right. I think a little bit of running will make it a happier car when it's for all that noises it was making. But I'm going to get a here. I love that word gonna. I'm going to get a filter set for the automatic transmission, and drain that automatic transmission fluid, put in a new filter and stuff, and then put it all back together and see if it gets any better, because it's been sitting for 20 years with that same fluid in there, so it might be time for new fluid. Anyhow, that's all for now. Yeah, there we are. Got a plate for the Beamer. That's kind of all right. There it is, like it says. 1985 BMW 635 CSI. Can you read that? That's good. So it's done. Good. I'm on the way home. I'll put it on and I'm going to align the wheels. I did some more work on the mathematics of the wheel alignment, and yesterday I was all wrong. So anyhow, I'll show it to you when I get home. Bye for now. Yeah, so here's the math for all you guys. Now, 0 degrees 10 minutes is the angular deviation for the toe-in. That's half of that on each wheel. So if your distance across the wheel is 457 millimeters, which is, otherwise you'd have just all these little numbers that you wouldn't be able to understand. The sine of 10 minutes, a 10-minute angle, is 0.0029088 times 457 equals 1.329 millimeters. And half of that goes to the other wheel. So the error is 15, like it says that you're allowed an error of up to 15 minutes of degrees each way, and so that would be an error of I'll go back up here. This 1.329 millimeters is equal to 1/19 of an inch. If you have an error, you're getting down to 1/12 of an inch of angular deviation. So the toe-in would be 1/12 of an inch on either side, or no, 1/6 of an inch on either, backwards, 1/24 of an inch on either side, or basically 1 millimeter toe-in. So I'll just sort of see if I can figure that out. Yeah, so I just took some of the little, like a couple of liters of gas out of the tank so it wasn't completely full up to the top, and that stopped any sort of leakage happening. So it's in those little hoses there, and I'll figure that out. So here we are. New plate going on the car. I'll get that done right now. Yeah, so today now I have this laser beam, which is just a builder's laser thing for doing levels. But actually it has a vertical line on it, so that's all right.
So now, can you see that vertical? Can you see the red line on there? I don't know if you can or not. Yeah, there's the red line. See the red line? That's the laser beam. Now I've got it pointed. That little black line on there is where the 2-inch mark is. And so this one here, same thing. There's the level mark. The red one, and then the black one is the 2-inch line. So now I just got to get it pointed across that 2-inch line on both of them, and then that's straight up the car, right? Yeah, I had to turn off lots of lights in here so I could see the damn thing, but that looks like it's on it there now. Here. There, it's pretty damn close to that mark there. And it's on it right there, the little red line. And then it goes right up over the ceiling of the house. Yeah, everywhere. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I thought it'd be a laser beam, so I'll see what it measures out like. I'll turn on some lights. There, the laser beam's set up so that it's running along the side of the car, parallel to the car, by, you know, like within the width of my thumbnail, right? So, now I'll measure the laser beam on this side over here, then I'll measure the laser beam on this side over here. And this side here should be 1 millimeter deeper than that side. So there, you can't really see it on here, but the laser beam comes along at 49 millimeters, right? And you can't see it very well again, but the laser beam comes along at 55 millimeters. So it's only about, it's got to turn out, the front end's got to come out 5 millimeters to make it 1 millimeter deeper. So I'll do that. Hang on. Yeah, so here we are. I think I got it just about right here now. So I put this on here and it comes in. Can you see that red line there? It's at 48.5 millimeters, right? And this one here, you put it on here and it's at 50 millimeters. So I'm not going to try to get it any closer than that because I don't think I can. Take umpteen here. So here's the underneath bit. So you can see right, there's my finger. I don't know where it is, but right in here, this is the tie rod that goes across there, and then the little bolt to tighten it's right there. So I've tightened that side. I can't really reach the other side, so I'll lift it up a bit to get the other side tight later, but it won't turn either way now. So that's good. Now, I'll just check this once more here, see how it is, and then I'll crawl out of there. I'll check this side once more to see how it is, and then I'll move the laser to the other side of the car, do it all again. Yeah, no, so once again the laser level is parallel to the body of the car and all the way up the roof. So I can turn on the lights, and then this one, it's close to the front this time, which is likely a smarter place to put it. So I'll turn on the lights and then I'll start working on getting it right. Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. So I don't need that piece of paper there anymore. That's just merely a guideline to get it close. So now I'll check, being very careful not to kick that laser. I'll check and make sure the steering wheel is straight. Just move it back and forth a bit. And that looks not quite, right about there is straight, eh? That's pretty close. Then go to the other side and start doing all the stuff I just did on this side over there. So when I get a little bit along, I'll tune you in. Yeah, so here we are now. It's 56.5 on there, and on here it's 57.5. So that's good. Now I have to tighten up down below there. Then I'll set it up on the other side again. Won't change anything. I'll check the other side and make sure it's still
stayed the same, because every time I move the tie rod, it would, at the same time that I moved the tie rod, it would sometimes move the steering wheel on me. So I'd go and straighten up the steering wheel again. So it won't hurt to go and double check the other side, and then I won't change anything the way it's sitting right now, and I'll double check the other side. Yeah, so I was talking away to nothing there. Take two. Here I am, I'm in the car, and I must have the alignment right, or pretty close to right now, because it's just going along nice and straight. And the radio is working fine. And just take a little cruise around the coast here, going up towards Canoe Cove. So I'll update you a little while later, see how things break out. Yeah, here we are at, where am I? Disabled is over there. And this is at the Disabled Church here. Little parking lot beside the road. And that's Northumberland Strait down there. So everything is working pretty good. I'm got over 60 kilometers on the car now since I pulled it out of the garage. So it's I'd say it's a win. So far, so good. More traffic. Nobody passed me on the way. The road and get in the wind so you can't hear me. Hey, here we are. There it is in front of the church. And so now I'll just turn around and head back. Well, yeah, I guess I'll turn around and head back. Nice little drive. A good test drive. Yeah, so there's one of the best signs on PEI right there. The Canoe Cove sign. A couple of lobsters in a canoe. Yeah, everything going well. Up the road I go some more. Yeah, there, back in the garage. And pretty good drive. That was no issues at all. It just went nice and straight and flat. Everything felt good. So I think we're okay. Anyhow, that's pretty good for what day is it? It's only Tuesday, so you have to wait for a few days before you get to see this. All for now. Yeah, there now, back in its stall. Anyhow, the parts that are coming tomorrow is Friday, and so far I've got in here. There's a new filter for the transmission, and all the bits you need. You need a little rubber thing, and a big rubber thing, and a filter. So I'll change all those fluids out. Then I was able to find this gear shift handle online, which is the proper gear shift handle with the little thing here for the locking mechanism. So I'm just going to put that. Yeah, so take two here. So I'll put this thing into the glove box, and that's where the little plastic thing. See, I kind of like that gear shift lever the way it is there right now. I'll just see how that lasts out, but I'll keep that one there because there's a locking mechanism in the gear shift for keeping it from sliding back and forth to different gears while you're driving. Like if somebody kicks it with their knee or something. So that's kind of a safety thing. But I asked the safety guy when I was getting it inspected whether they needed it or not. He said, no, nobody cares. So there you go. Anyhow, so this Friday, now I'll get some work done tomorrow, which is Friday, and we'll get a movie out for tomorrow night with what's happened, have a couple of road tests, things like that. Anyhow, there you go. Yeah, so anyway, kind of a late start today. I waited around for the UPS guy to come because I thought he had the speed sensor with him, but it turns out he did not. And so now I went into town and got some transmission fluid for it. I do have in that box there's a transmission filter and stuff like that to do an oil change on the transmission. And I've looked it up online, and they recommend that you indeed change the oil in the transmission, but don't do like what they call a flush, which gets it all out of the whole thing. So that's what I'll do. And I might just do a transmission oil change here today, then wait another month or so and do it again just to, maybe that'll dissipate some of the older oil. Anyway, that's the plan for now. And I also want to, I put in it power steering fluid for European cars, which is this one here. It calls for the same transmission fluid in the power steering. So I'm going to change that too, back to what it should be. There you go. Yeah, so there's what it looks like in there now. It actually came out pretty easy. This part here, this thing here, you have to undo from the front of it. It's a, where is it? This thing. That's where the dipstick goes down into it, and that's where you refill it and stuff like that. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I got to take off this filter now, and I've drained out. First, I drained it out. There's a drain plug right here. You get from the other side, and drain out about 3 liters of fluid out of it. Then it's got 2 magnets inside here that collect any sort of metal debris, and there was nothing except for very, very fine shavings. So I'm pretty sure that everything in the transmission is not too bad a shape. Based on that, I'll put the new filter on it, and then I'll put it back together, fill it up with fluid, and see where we go from there. So, I think we're okay. Yeah, it's safe to look underneath here now. It's not dripping so much. So there's 3 bolts hold on this thing. They've got a torque end on them, T27s. You just undo those 3. And then from the top side, here's the new one. So there's bolt hole, bolt hole, bolt hole. And there's an O-ring comes with the kit. So I just lubricated that O-ring with a bit of transmission fluid out of the bucket there. And then this big gasket here, I took a Q-tip and I did the inside of it where it meets this seal with a bit of oil just to lubricate it a bit so it'll seal. And then I'll put a bit of lubrication around the edge here with just my finger. That should be good. So I'll get that filter off there and put the new one on. It shouldn't be too much of a difficulty. Yeah, you can write that up in How to Make a Mess in your How to Make a Mess gushy book. I undid it and pulled it out, and then that red oil just went everywhere. It looks like a murder scene, but, well, I guess we're all right. Anyhow, I'll put the new one on, and it looks like everything's the same. So that should work. 3 bolts. Yeah, there you are. I have it all put back together there now for this part. And then I put those bolts in, and then I torqued them down. I gave them all 10 foot-pounds to hold it. And I'll just check I'm going to just check some of the other bolts holding here and make sure they're all, nothing loose. There, I just tightened up. Well, I just checked every one that I could get to here anyhow, and they all seem to be pretty good. So I'm not worried at all about it. I'll just put the pan back on and fill it up with oil and see what happens. Yeah, so here's the little type of bolt that holds it all together. This goes on the inside of the lip of the oil pan, and this goes up against the outside edge of the transmission. This one here had been stretched outward like this, and so this part here wasn't hitting on the top of on the edge of the transmission where it's supposed to be to tighten it up. So it was pushing and never ever getting tight. I took it off and I put it in the vise and then squeezed it together. So check your bolts to make sure they're right. If they don't feel like they're tightening right, that's likely the problem. Yeah, so here's a handy device. It's a fluid transfer device. Here's the box. Fluid transfer pump. So it comes with, a bunch of hoses and stuff. Anyhow, the end of it is that you bring in 1/2 liter at a time. So I've got 1.5 liters pushed in already. And you just pull out on the handle, fill up this, push down, and it goes back into the transmission. Cool. There's where the fluid goes in, right? And by this count here, I've got 2 full liters in there, so I have to get another liter in there. I'll just check. And I started the motor and ran it, so I'll put the dipstick in and see what it says. And all the gears seem to work okay, so we might be just about okay. but the dipstick is dry. So it needs another liter, and I'll put that in. Ah, there we go. It took 3.5 liters by the time I got it all checked out there. But that device just works great. Now tomorrow, I'll go ahead and change the fluid in the power steering, because I did it once, but I put synthetic fluid in it, and it calls for this same Dextron II stuff. But now, I have to go to dinner. So, that's all for today.